Hi, it's Madison11 and today we'll be doing something a little bit different from our usually scheduled program to airways for that. For the first part of this video, I'll be answering a couple Q&A questions, but if you don't want to see that, don't turn off, don't switch programs to watch a Vine compilation, which is something I totally don't do. Skip, if you must, to the second part of the video where I want to talk to you about something really important. Just think of the second part of the video as an introductory lesson into the world of LGBTQ, and I want to try my best to teach you something new. So stick around and I'll see you then. Okay, before I start, quick shout out to all those who sent in questions. I got them from various different platforms, not just my YouTube comments, so shout out to all them people. An extra special thank you to Natalia K, who contributed more than one question. You absolute legend, thank you for that. Question 1, which I walked straight into last video, you can check that out up there. What's the Earth? The Earth is a big sphere of rock in the universe upon which we live. It's a planet, one of the only life-inhabited planets in our solar system as far as we're aware, and it's made up of the crust, the mantle, the inner and outer core. It's got a lot of hot magma going on, seismic activity. It's our home, and it's currently undergoing climate change. Please save the planet and recycle and sort out your carbon footprint. And that is the Earth. You're a geography student. Why isn't your answer better? I was put on the spot. Why are you even here? Go away. Ignore them. 2. How tall are you? I'm like 5 foot tall. You're short. Yes, I am short. 3. What is your favourite subject? I'm assuming you mean school. My favourite subject is probably English, as in creative writing English. I didn't take English because I actually also really enjoy the sciences, like biology is one of my favourite subjects, I would say as well. And geography I enjoy, despite my horrendous first answer. Shh, don't tell my teacher. 4. What is the colour of your toothbrush? Okay. Pink and white, despite pink being my least favourite colour. 5 was sent to me in all capital letters. What is life? What is life?
That's fine when you're not really fun, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Who better to answer what is life than Shakespeare, right? Okay, so tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Because that's not depressing at all. Yeah, What are you doing? That's the most depressing definition of life you could have gone for. I'm reading Shakespeare. What does Shakespeare know? He wrote a pile of rubbish. Shakespeare's one of the most valued poets of our time. Well, not our time, but of Britain. Just get out. I'll leave. but you better improve what you're saying here, sir. Just leave. Your content sucks. Wow. They are so rude. No respect for the arts these days. Want to increase that art budget a little bit? Yeah. Well, after that existential crisis of a question, 6. What do you want to study in uni? Number 7 was, what is your favourite colour? Yellow. Now 8 is a thinker. Would you rather fight 100 cat-sized dinosaurs or 10 dinosaur-sized cats? In both cases you have no weapons. Okay, so between 100 cat-sized dinosaurs and 10 dinosaur-sized cats, and they're attacking, do they have to attack? Can I give catnip to the cats? I have no weapons, but maybe I'll find catnip. I have a cat, so I think I could do that. But then, if I had to fight, then I wouldn't want to fight giant cats, because that's horrendous. I've seen my cat go after mice, it's awful. So, the dinosaurs. But then, in that scene in Jurassic Park with the dinosaurs, they spit and stuff, you don't want that. If they're those type of dinosaurs, it depends on the type of dinosaur. Just answer the flipping question. You're overthinking it, you idiot. Alright, I'll choose. I'll take the cats then, in case I have a chance of adopting 10 giant cats, because that'd be amazing. And you, get out. Just leave. Fine, I'm gone. Bye. Last but certainly not least, how did you find out you were Aero Ace? And I am only too glad to answer that question for you. So, I found out that I was Aero Ace through research. Basically, I'd never heard the word before. I'd never heard of asexual before, except for once, and I'd completely forgotten about it. It hadn't been a word that stuck in my mind because I didn't understand it. I'd never heard of aromantic. I never knew it was a thing at all. But I'd always felt like I'd never had a crush, not for real. I'd lied about having a crush in order to feel more at ease among some groups of friends I'd used to have. And I was wondering when I was going to have a crush, when I was going to want a boyfriend, when I was going to want a relationship, when I would have the feelings that people were telling me about, my friends were telling me about these feelings, and when I was thinking about them, they were completely alien. I was interested in having a relationship to the extent of I'm interested in performing a scientific experiment to see what would happen. But I wasn't interested in relationships or any of the things associated in an emotional way or in a way where I'd want to spend and share with another person. So I, for ages, have felt that way since as long as I can remember, really. And I'd always liked the idea of a relationship more than, I wanted one. So I eventually was tired of not having a word to describe how I was feeling. So I went looking on the internet, and I'd recently seen a YouTube video about different LGBTQ sexualities and personalities and the people in the LGBTQ world and gender identities and all sorts, which I'll talk to you more about later. And I stumbled purely by chance across the word asexual, and then as a result of that, aromantic. And I did some investigation, I googled, I read blogs about people who'd found this out about themselves, who were talking about their experiences, how they had felt, and I thought, wow, that's me. I felt these feelings, I feel these feelings. This is me. And they were talking about things they'd done when they were younger to feel like they fit in, and I was like, hi, that's me. It just resonated with me. And when I used it in association with myself, it felt right. And that was how I sort of found out I was aero ace. And I sort of just went one day to my friends, "Hi, I texted some of my friends and I found out I was really happy about it actually because I finally had a word to describe how I was feeling that people could understand and I could explain and define for them." So that was how I discovered it, and I sort of went, I'm asexual, I'm aromantic, and I sort of, the way I talk to my friends, I sort of made a little joke about it. I was like, whenever they talk about something relationshipy that I didn't understand, get, was grossed out by, something like that, I'd be like, haha, I'm too aero ace for that. And that's how I came up with the concept for my series, because I also realised there isn't a lot of representation for aero ace people out there. So yeah, that's how I found out. Well, this segues me nicely into the next part of the video where I want to talk to you a little bit crash course 101 introductory lesson into LGBTQ+, LGBTQIA, or LGBT. It's represented in many different ways, and particularly some of the different aspects that make up our identity in concerns to this and just everyday life. LGBTQIA+, better known as LGBTQ+, or LGBT+, is a group made up of many people and refers to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, two-spirit, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, ally, plus, pansexual, agender, genderqueer, bigender, gender variant, and pangender, and any that did not come up in my research that may also be on the list. Though other terms such as queer community and rainbow community are also sometimes used, LGBTQ is the most common. It's seen as the most user-friendly, and it really differs from person to person depending on their preferences and what they think is right. If you want to find out the meanings of those terms, some of which you'll be familiar with, some of which you will be less familiar with, I'll be explaining some this video, some in future videos, and I will be linking a site down below where you can find out a bunch of information. It was really good for my research. What I've learned is to really understand the spectrum of diversity, including within this single term, is that you need to really understand 3 words that really break down the whole thing. You need to understand sexual orientation, aka sexuality, romantic orientation, and gender identity. Sexual orientation, or sexuality, is a person's sexual identity in relation to the gender to which they are attracted to, emotionally or sexually. For example, heterosexual, aka straight, you're attracted to your opposite gender. Homosexual, aka gay or lesbian, you're attracted to people of the same gender. And asexual, hey there, you don't feel sexual attraction toward anyone. Romantic orientation refers to an individual's pattern of romantic attraction based on a person's gender and is distinct from sexual orientation, though they are often falsely defined as the same. Some examples to help you out are panromantic, you're romantically attracted to people of any gender identity. It doesn't necessarily affect whether you're romantically attracted to them or not. Grey romantic, which exists on the aromantic spectrum. So whereas aromantic is you don't feel romantic attraction towards anyone at any time, grey romantic means you feel romantic attraction, but it is very rare. And homoromantic and heteroromantic, gay and straight, that's how it works. A lot of the terms, the beginning is used and added sexual on the end and romantic on the end, and that's how you can tell the difference. Otherwise it means virtually the same, but in different context, and it affects people differently. Finally, gender identity is a way to describe how you feel about your gender. You could identify as a girl or a boy or something else entirely. It's different from sex. Gender and sex are not the same thing. Sex is your biology. It's whether you're biologically female or biologically male. Gender is how you're feeling, what you feel you are, and it's assigned to you at birth based on your sex, but it doesn't mean that that's true. You could be assigned a girl like I was, but it doesn't mean you are a girl. I identify as gender fluid, and I'll explain more about that later. Identifying as a gender you were assigned at birth is known as cisgender. So if you're cisgender and you're a boy or girl, you'd be cis female or cis male. But there is also non-binary, which is an umbrella term which refers to lots of different things beneath it in a spectrum, including gender fluid. Non-binary refers to an individual that does not necessarily feel that they fit into either gender. You can feel like both or neither, or frequently switch between the two. You can also be transgender, a term which you may have heard before. This is when a person's gender identity or gender expression does not match the one they were assigned at birth. And gender identity and gender expression, they tell people who we are. Gender expression can be displayed in many different ways. How we dress, how we look, how we choose to act, how we are called, how we choose to be called by our friends, our nicknames, how we go about our daily lives. And it's really important, and gender identity can be expressed in so many different ways, all of which we have to be mindful of when interacting with each other in order to create a better planet in which this diversity is not suppressed. What's most important when thinking about this community and sexuality, romantic orientation, and gender identity is that they all play into each other. They all make up our identity. They don't solely make up our identity. We're made up of so many different parts, but they are important parts of ourselves and should be nourished, accepted, and promoted even. And it's all about feelings. It doesn't have anything to do with biology necessarily. Sometimes our biology doesn't match who we feel we should be, and it's all about what we want to be, what we think is right, what suits us, what we know in our hearts is right for us. The great thing about this community is that it attempts to be the most inclusive community it can possibly be. If you are a straight, cisgender individual, you are not excluded from this. It encompasses you because you can be an ally, which is a person who actively supports, invests in, educates about, promotes LGBTQIA plus issues, awareness, and you support people in this community, and that makes you part of the community. But it's important to know that you can be as wacky and as far out as you can possibly be, and you don't have to make sense to anyone as long as you make sense to yourself. So you can be pan-romantic but asexual. You can be aro-ace. You are free to be any version of you that makes you happy. It's also important to be mindful of other people and their gender identities, their sexualities, and their romantic orientations. And for this, I'm going to talk solely on gender identity for a couple minutes. It's important, and if you want to help us out and you want to be an ally, or at least you want to make this place, this world, a better place for people in the LGBTQIA plus community, it's important to ask pronouns. Pronouns are words like she, her, he, his, they, them. They're the words that we use to refer to someone's gender when it's in a sentence. But because there are so many gender identities out there, lots of people have different pronouns, and the one you assume they are may not necessarily be right. I go by all pronouns. That means they, them, he, his, she, her. She, her being the female pronouns, he, his being the male pronoun, or rather he, him, and they, them being the non-binary pronoun. There are other pronouns out there, but those are the ones that you'll find most common. It's important that when you meet someone, if you're someone who goes by different pronouns to one which you would be assumed by, if you feel comfortable, it can be difficult, but say what your pronouns are to someone, because they might want to support you in using your pronouns, but they might not know that. But if you are someone who's meeting someone, maybe go, hi, I'm whoever, and I have these pronouns, what are yours? Who are you? Ask them and be sure and use those pronouns. because those pronouns are valid. If you deny them, you're denying a part of that person, and it can feel pretty bad for them. So I just wanted to promote that, and the use of pronouns and the acceptance of different forms of gender expression and expression of sexuality and expression of romantic orientation, because it's what makes this world so colourful, so rainbow, so magical in its diversity in the people you can meet, and so wonderful. The reason I'm talking about this is because I really want to promote LGBTQIA+ and raise awareness of how amazing this world is. Because when I came out as ero ace and I was looking around for different people who were ero ace, I found a few, but I also found it sorely lacking in representation. I want this platform, this channel, to be a representation of ero ace, but also to be a representation of the community as a whole, of all sorts of different people, and that's what I want to do. I will be doing further videos in the future, possibly the near future, in which I talk about some of the different issues in the LGBTQIA+ community. I'll circle in on gender identity in one video, maybe romantic orientation, and all the different things that it encompasses. And I will be linking sites down in the description that I found helpful, that I found useful while I was doing my own research, and you can look it up. Just look it up. Learn about this, because that's the only way we can learn about each other. And I hope that you are kind to each other, especially now. Now that you have the time in this quarantine and this epidemic, take the time to get to know the person next door, your fellow man, your fellow woman, the child who you thought was a little bit strange. Get to know them, because you have the time, and kindness is the best thing you can spread. Subscribe, like. If you have any questions, remember to comment down below, and I will try my very best to answer them. I have by no means covered everything in this episode. This is just a quick breakdown, a quick snatch of different thoughts I was having that I wanted to introduce you to in the short time that I have for this video. So bear in mind there will be more. I am Madison11. I am an ero ace gender fluid individual, and I will see you next week. Ciao.